As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week it is episode 115, and we are talking Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. Again, this is part 2. This is the second edition of our Revisited series. If you don't know, I hate the early episodes of Remember the Game. Through about episode 15 or 20. It's we were still learning the ropes. I sound like a robot. There's no intro to them. My guests did a great job, but I'm not shitting on them at all, but I don't like those episodes. I feel like I always compare those early episodes to that's our episode 1 of The Simpsons, where all the characters look funny and sound a little off, and you're like, there's something good here, but they just haven't figured it out yet. That's how I feel about those first episodes of the show. So every 10 episodes, we are re-looking at one of the mega hit games that we covered back in the early days, and we're giving them the love-injected, passionate podcasts that they so rightfully deserve. And on a quick side note, according to my Word document here, re-looking is not an actual word. It's underlined by red, and that just seems ridiculous. Re-looking that's an official word here to Remember the Games. I don't give a fuck. But anyway, on episode 105, we revisited Super Mario World, and that actually became our most downloaded episode of all time. So clearly, at least most of you are on board with this re-looking concept as well. So this week for episode 115, and we'll be doing it again on 125, 135, 145, etc., up until episode 195. So for this week, we are taking another look at Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars back there on the Super Nintendo. And listen, I know that's 2 Mario games back to back, both from episode 114 to this one and from the revisited one to the revisited one. But Mario RPG is fucking awesome. Mario is fucking awesome. And that little plumber's a pretty hot topic in the world of video games right now and online and stuff like that. And I fully plan on shamelessly just piggybacking the hashtags and stuff that are trending all over the place to try to pick up a few more downloads. So if you found us because of one of those, thank you very much for giving us a chance. Welcome aboard. And I'm glad that my greasy little free advertising strategy worked. My guest this week on the show is my pal Tyler. You may remember him from such episodes as Halo 2 and Resident Evil 2. And he's been on lots of other ones, but I can't think of which one. I think he was Tony Hawk. Anyway, he's been on the show a whole bunch. And we went on for about an hour about Super Mario RPG. And I could have just kept going too. We finally stopped it at about an hour. So strap yourself in. This one's going to be a beast. I think you're going to like it, particularly if you like Mario RPG. Although if you're a Mallow fan, which I didn't think there was any, but apparently there is, you may not like this episode quite as much. But either way, before we get into Mario, GENO, Bowser, Princess Toadstool, Stupid Mallow, it is time for our fabled Remember the Game intro. And I really think I need to get some music here or something. I'm going to find just some stupid song or something to play while I cue up the intro every week. I got to find something. But anyway, by the time you hear this, we may already have PlayStation 5 pricing and information. I'm recording this on Tuesday, September 15th in the afternoon, but Sony has got a press conference or something like that scheduled for the afternoon of Wednesday, September 16th. So by the time you hear this, we may already know, or we may be about to get it if you're listening to the show first thing in the morning. So shout out to all of you living in the future that could listen to this earlier than other people, not like us here in Western North America and stuff where we're like way behind the rest of the world. But we'll get into that on Game Patch, okay? We're not going to talk to PlayStation 5 or the pricing or anything here on this show. This is retro gaming. We're going to talk about that on Game Patch, which is our weekly news podcast. This past episode that just dropped, episode 4, we broke down the Xbox Series X and Series S pricing. We looked at the Venom people are still throwing in Madden 21. We talked Mario 3D All-Stars and so much more. You should really check it out if you like gaming news. You can find it wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes go live every Monday. Just look for Game Patch. Or you knew this was coming, sign up for our Patreon and get it 3 days early. You'll get it Friday morning instead, just like Morgan, David Ray, Geek Life Radio, and Ryan Yeager. I hope I said that right, Ryan, did this week. Thank you guys so much for supporting the podcast. I appreciate it. $2 a month gets you early access to Game Patch. It gets you exclusive access to our weekly Patreon podcast Expansion Pass. It gets you the ability to submit comments and questions for all 3 of our shows and so much more. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. And just quickly, I need just a second here. Your support helps me and it helps the show so much more than you know. We're at 115 Patreons as of the time that I record this. When we hit 200, I'll be sending everyone that made that 200 up a Remember the Game lanyard and a handwritten thank you note. I will be forever in your debt. And listen, like, I'm not a giant podcast, okay? I'm not someone with thousands and thousands of Patreons. I'm just one dude, a washed up hack comedian in his spare bedroom, trying to put out the best video game content that I can. I see every person that signs up on Patreon. I interact with a lot of them via the DM service over there. The support really helps me. Okay, I got into this in a lot more detail on last week's episode of Expansion Pass, but I'm really struggling with finding a balance between running the show as a business and not losing what makes it fun in the first place. And I see a lot of new people discovering the show, which is awesome. And they're going back to listen to the old episodes. And if this is you, if you're hearing me right now and you're someone that recently discovered the show and you're going back to those old episodes, thank you so much. And I'm glad that you enjoy the podcast. Business dictates that I put some of those early episodes behind a paywall because you find the show and then you have 115 podcasts to listen to for free. Why even bother paying the $2? Listen, I'm not going to put those episodes behind a paywall. Several people have suggested it. It's just not what I'm about. It's not what I want this to be about. It's not the direction I want Remember the Game to go in. You will always have free access to the regular Remember the Game episodes. So I just ask, if you're enjoying what I do, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I need the help and I truly appreciate it. So thank you so much. There's my heartfelt begging / explanation. Last Sunday's episode of Expansion Pass, I reviewed Battletoads, the new Battletoads game on Xbox and PC. This week for episode 26, I think we're going to do a confessional. I've never done one of those. I'd like to start making this a semi-regular thing on Expansion Pass. I've wanted to do it for a while. There's a few gaming secrets that I'd like to, and shames that I'd like to admit to. I'd like to get off my chest that I've kept bottled up. And our Patreons, you'll all be encouraged to share your secrets as well. There'll be no judgment here from anyone except for me, and it should be a lot of fun. So that's the plan for this Sunday. And while I'm self-promoting, I stream on Twitch on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday night. Normally it's from 8 to 11 p.m. Mountain Time, but I have comedy shows this week from Wednesday to Sunday night, so I got to switch it up. So Thursday, I will be streaming from 1 to 4 p.m. Mountain Time, And then Sunday, I will be on after my comedy show. So it'll be about 10 p.m. until midnight Mountain Time. So pop by, say hi if you're around. You can find us at Member the Game on Twitch. Not Remember, Member the Game. You can come by, talk to me, and we play video games. It's a lot of fun. So, okay, let's get into the actual show, you guys. That's my self-indulging. I like to start the podcast each week with a few comments and questions from our Patreons and a little segment we like to call Blowing in the Cartridge. So let's blow. And the first blow is from Gary C. And Gary said, "Hey Adam, just listened to the Battlesodes episode of Expansion Pass and I loved it. I was part of the 13% that voted against doing a Battletoads episode, so what the hell do I know? I guess I wasn't too interested as I'm not an Xbox One owner and I never played the originals, but you made it really accessible to newcomers like me with a little bit of history. I plan to grab an Xbox One soon and I think I will pick it up. Nice one, Adam." Thanks, Gary. Thanks for writing in. And you absolutely should try Battletoads. And I think this is going to be a big thing. Not Battletoads necessarily, although I hope that Battletoads is because I fucking love that franchise. But I think between Xbox Ones getting marked down soon, if they haven't already, they're going to very soon. And same with PS4s. They're probably going to as well. People are going to be grabbing old Xbox Ones or PS4s maybe if they missed out on them this gen, or maybe they're going to pick up one of those Xbox Series S's in a couple months because it's so goddamn cheap. I think a lot of people are going to discover there's some great new games on systems that they don't have a lot of experience with. I've seen many PlayStation gamers say that the price of the Xbox Series S is just too tempting once you factor in Game Pass. Because that's the thing, Gary, you don't have to pay $25 for Battletoads. Pay $1 for the sample month of Game Pass and you can try Battletoads right there. A buddy of mine that listens to this podcast, who's a regular on this podcast, sent me a text. So I don't want to name him because it was a private text message. But he said he's always been a PlayStation guy, but that $299 price will probably get him to give Xbox a shot. And this isn't just about how cheap the Xbox Series S is. Like I said, current gen hardware is going to get marked down right away. It just has to. You can't keep selling PS4s and Xbox Ones at full price when the Xbox Series whatevers and the PlayStation 5s are right around the corner. So they're going to be cheap. So if you don't want to buy one of these launch systems and worry about the bugs and the limited launch libraries and stuff like that, then dude, go old school, pick up an old system and then just buy the games dirt cheap. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks. I'm really excited to see people trying new games for the first time because they can pick them up on the cheap. If anything, I'm a Nintendo fanboy. I've never hidden that fact, but I play all three consoles, Xbox, PlayStation, and Nintendo. And I know PlayStation has a way bigger share of the market than Xbox right now, but I hope a few people take this chance to try out the Xbox ecosystem. There's some great games over there. They're all on Game Pass. You can try them dirt cheap. And the reason I brought this up, I hope this garbage of fucking nerds online calling people Xbox or Xbots, like BOTS, Sony ponies. I hope this shit just dies soon. These stupid fanboys and these stupid flame wars. We're all gamers, you guys. And I'm telling you right now, when Sega versus Nintendo in the 90s was the big console war, it was a lot of fun. I don't remember insulting a kid that had a Sega Genesis. I remember wanting to go over to their house to try a Sega Genesis. And I remember kids with Sega Genesis wanting to come to my house to try the Super Nintendo. That's what it should be. This insulting each other because you play on different hardware and you refuse to try the other hardware because it's not the hardware that you know is fucking stupid. It just play games, just enjoy games. This hobby's never been bigger. It's never been better. We have so many video games available to us right now on all systems for dirt cheap. Just embrace it, have fun, and don't be a dick anymore. Fuck, it drives me crazy. I'll get off my soapbox now. Thanks for writing in, Gary. I hope you do try Battletoads and let me know what you think if you do, because it's awesome. Bullfrog wrote in to blow in the old cartridge, and Bullfrog said, "Can anyone recommend a third-party dock for the Switch? I don't want to brick my system, but I could really use a second one. Thank you." Thanks for writing in, Bullfrog. And this is an interesting question because I'm actually a little intrigued about this myself. My Switch dock is up here. I record in my spare bedroom. It's where most of my video games are as well. And I don't really want to have to unhook it and haul it down to our living room because I know my girlfriend is going to want to play Mario 3D All-Stars with me on the giant TV down there. So I'd be interested in a third-party cheap dock as well. But I'm also nervous about them because I know some of them have bricked Switches in the past, and I'm certainly not willing to chance my Switch to save a few bucks on a dock. But I've seen some really small ones that look rad. They're like super tiny and compact and easy to hide. They look good on like a big entertainment system or whatever. So if any of you have any experience, any recommendations, suggestions, any words of advice, anyone that's like, hey, don't use this one because Does this one ruin my system? When it comes to third-party Switch docks, please toss them at us. Toss them at me over on social media at Member the Game on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and maybe I'll throw a couple of them up here, okay? Or I'll let Bullfrog know. Thanks for writing in, Bullfrog. I'm interested in that myself. And then finally, before we move on, this one really caught my eye. It made me raise my people's eyebrow, and it's not even video game related, we don't think. But I really wanted to give this one a moment here on the show. So with that said, it's letter time. It's letter time. And this week's letter comes in from OG Big Titus. And OG said, I saw there's a post for a Hero Quest announcement next week. And holy Santa Claus shit, I know it's not a video game, but one of the GOAT board games getting re-released has my attention. Thank you for writing in, Big Titus. And I gotta imagine that a bunch of you listening to my mouth right now played Hero Quest at some point. I know we did. That game fucking owned. We played the shit out of that game when I was a kid. Geek Life Radio actually replied to this over on Patreon, wrote in and said, Hero Quest, I loved that game. Been looking for something similar to play with the kids for a while now. You're goddamn right. That game kicked ass, Geek Life. Thank you for writing in. I agree with you. If you never played Hero Quest, it was like a classic dungeon crawling board game where you played as like, you could play as like a barbarian and a wizard and an elf or whatever, shit like that. And then the game came with this like huge board that had a bunch of walls and rooms, and then it came with a bunch of tiny little cardboard furniture and things like that, and you'd set them up to build different maps as you went along, and the miniatures were awesome, the board was awesome, it was the fucking nerdiest thing you could imagine, but people loved that game. It sells for big bucks online now. I actually saw it at an Edmonton Comic Expo a couple years ago. I used to work the expos with my old job, and I saw it. It was like $250. It was in really good shape, and I probably came in hot on that thing for like 2 days, and then I finally went back to see if he would wiggle on the price, and he said he sold it like the first day. So Hero Quest is a big deal. People know this fucking game. And so there's this new website up. This is what Big Titus was talking about. There's this new website up, and I don't have the address. A good podcast would have the address locked and loaded and ready for you guys, but you know what to expect from me after 115 of these things. Just Google Hero Quest website. It'll be right. That's the first thing that comes up. So there's this new website, and when you go there, all it features is just a home page with the Hero Quest logo and this cool-looking skeleton guy, and then it says the quest is calling, and it has a timer that's counting down, and that timer will run out on September 22nd, which is next Tuesday. So whatever that clock is counting down to, I will bring it up on Remember the Game next week. Whether it's a board game or a video game, this is nerdy shit, and I'm excited. I hope it's a revival of the board game, but if it's not, then I hope it's a video game version. As long as the video game version doesn't suck and filled with microtransactions and shit like that, it's just fun. I think I'd prefer just an actual physical board game, but either one, it's not a bad thing to see that Hero Quest is coming back, and we can all just collectively spend the next 6 days praying together that they don't just fucking sodomize that franchise and just suck every ounce of life out of it to try to maximize microtransactions they can make off us on some shitty phone app or something. So I like board games. This has me goddamned excited, so let's wait and see what it is. But thanks for bringing that up, Big Titus. I did not even know it existed until you brought it to my attention, and I can't wait to see what it is. That's enough blowing for the week. Let us get into our smash hit segment, Play One, Erase One, Remake One. And thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing the theme music for this segment. The rules are simple. Each week, I give our listeners 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released in all of its glory. They can remake another one as a modern game. And the third game is erased from time forever. And this week, we're talking Mario RPG on the podcast, so I figured it'd be a Mario RPG-centric version of Play One, Remake One, Erase One. So we're going to talk Super Mario RPG, Legend of the Seven Stars on the SNES, Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64, and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door on the Nintendo GameCube. These are 3 absolute gems. This one was tough, as they all are, but I like it that way. That's the game. It makes it more fun when you got to sweat. It's not fun if it's easy. And listen, as always, there are no wrong answers. I'm going to read a bunch of your replies before I get to mine. There are no wrong answers, but there is a correct one, and I'll tell you what it is in just a minute. And for the first time since we launched this segment, nobody that wrote into us on Patreon had the answer that I would give. So, that's interesting to me. A lot of you had the same answer, but it's not the correct one. So let's get into the answers. We're going to start with Jeff Johnson from Game on GNT. And Jeff said he would play Mario RPG, he would remake Mario RPG, and he would erase the rest. And that's not the goddamn rules, Jeff Johnson from Gaming on GNT. That is not the goddamn rules. But Mario RPG is the best game in this trilogy. It is the best of the three. So I'll give you a partial credit for that. You're still disqualified, but you get disqualified with a partial credit as well. Like a participant ribbon. So good answer, Jeff. Mark McHugh. The old famous Mark McHugh decided to play this week, and he said, I'm playing Thousand Year Door as I speak. I would love to see a remake that sanded down a few of the edges. I guess I would have to say goodbye to Mario RPG. And that's all he said. So former Hall of Famer Mark McHugh would remake the Thousand Year Door and say goodbye to Mario RPG, meaning I assume he would just play Paper Mario. Well, guess what, Mark McHugh? Getting rid of Mario RPG gets rid of your chances at getting back into the Hall of Fame, you son of a bitch. Get out. You are disqualified forever. Until the next time, I need you to be a guest on the show. But no, you can't erase Mario RPG. God damn it. Matt McLean wrote in over on Patreon, and Matt said, really, really tough decision here, Adam. I'd play a Thousand Year Door. It's the better of the first two Paper Mario games, really played on the paper aspects with all the different abilities. I would remake Mario RPG. One of my favorite games growing up. Would be great on a current system, particularly on Switch. Hashtag GENO for Smash. And I would erase Paper Mario. It hurts to do it, but Thousand Year Door just did it all better. I made these choices assuming Thousand Year Door would still be made despite erasing its predecessor. So thanks for writing in, Matt. And first off, GENO for Smash, I'm 100% on board. Hashtag GENO for Smash. Fuck, at this point, hashtag GENO for something, please. So I'm on board with you with that, Matt. And as far as this whole grandfather clause or whatever that concept is called when it comes to time travel and erasing something and hoping that future iterations of it still exist, that's an interesting side note with this game. And I don't want to give a locked-in rule or make a definitive ruling on that because I want it to be very subjective. I want it to be all up to you. And if you think, like, if you erase Paper Mario, does Paper Mario Thousand Year Door even exist? There are no rules here, okay? I just want to see what you all think about this. So we don't actually have enough power to make these decisions yet. So we kind of got to play by our own rules. So Matt's answers, thanks for writing in, Matt. Matt's answers were a very common answer, by far the most common set of the three from you guys. Dave McGee wrote in and said, sadly, I've never played a Paper Mario game, but with that being said, I would remake Mario RPG because that game with updated graphics would be fucking sick. I'd play Thousand Year Door because you said it's pretty damn good, and I'd erase Paper Mario 64 because it's on the Nintendo 64 and that fucking controller. So thanks for writing in, Dave. And you know what, McGee? I'm not going to hold the fact that you've never played a Paper Mario game against you because they're not fucking available anywhere these days because Nintendo loves jerking us around. So that's not on you. That's not your fault. And getting rid of a game based purely on its controller seems crazy, but the Nintendo 64 controller might just be the exception. So I don't have a problem at all with Dave McGee's answer. And longtime friend of the show, current Patreon of the show, and longtime frequent guest of the show, David Ray, agreed with McGee. David said, I'd remake Super Mario RPG, play Thousand Year Door, delete Paper Mario. And what I like about Dave's answer here is that there's no explanation. Every week we get a couple ice-cold, cutthroat business folk that just call their shot and walk away. And I fucking love it. I don't need to explain why. It's like firing someone without saying why. David's basically just telling Paper Mario 64, you're done. Pack your shit, get the fuck out. I respect that. I respect a man who stands and just calls his shot, and that's it. So Bullfrog wrote in over on Patreon and said, this is the meanest one yet, so I'll just say Mario RPG in the Link's Awakening engine/art style. I'll play Thousand Year Door, and I'm sorry, OG Paper Mario, you gotta go. Just don't tell my daughter it was her second real video game on my original Nintendo 64. So Bullfrog agrees with a whole bunch of you. He wrote in, he's got the same explanation, and he's doing it in spite of what could cause his daughter some serious heartbreak and tears. So that's even more vicious than David Ray not giving an example. Or giving a reason. You're giving a reason, and then you're just laughing in your daughter's face while she cries that you're eliminating one of her childhood treasured toys. This game brings out the dark side of our listeners, and I fucking like it, quite frankly. I like this side of some of you. So thanks to all of you that wrote in. There was a lot of answers, but a lot of them were that same trio, that same order. And quite frankly, I'm sorry, but none of those are the secret code this week. Here's what I would do. This is the correct answer. And like, just, I know that I don't even have to explain this. I know that I come across as like a patronizing dick to be like, here's the right answer. But the simple fact of the matter is it's my show, so I pick the answers. It's like a history teacher gets to pick the answers to her history tests. That's how it fucking works. Don't let them kid you. So this is what I would do. I'd play Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. This game is a classic. I'm about to spend an hour telling you why it's probably a lock for my top 10 favorite video games of all time, so I'm not going to waste any more time doing that here. I would remake the original Paper Mario, and I would dump the Thousand Year Door. And here's why. Before you fucking hang up or skip to your next podcast or go to Retronauts, which don't do that. Before you do any of that, here's why I would do that. Both Paper Mario on the Nintendo 64 and the Thousand Year Door on the GameCube are great games, no question. But the Thousand Year Door, you guys, has so much backtracking. Like, so much. I don't want to say it sucks, because it's still fun backtracking, but it's backtracking nevertheless. I also don't really care for that like 2-hour long wrestling chapter with the giant golden eagle thing. So what I would do is I would remake Paper Mario, clean it up, make it pretty or prettier, and just do all the extra fun stuff that we want to do with it. And then it would be such a commercial success that a new and improved Thousand Year Door would almost be sure to follow, minus the backtracking. So that's my answer. Remake the first one. The second one will be improved by default. I'm playing with the loopholes now. Plus, I don't really want to race any of these games because I really like all three of them. So that's my answer. Thanks to all of you that played. I love this stupid segment so much. I don't know why we get so much mileage out of it, but we all seem to have fun with it. And someday when we're the most powerful podcast on the internet, we'll actually be able to make some of these remakes of these erases happen. So sometimes I like to sneak in a little bit of retro gaming news before I get into what I've been playing. But I Googled retro gaming news, and the only news stories I can find are A, Mario 3D All-Stars, which we've talked about it to death. I'm sure we'll talk about it on Game Patch again this Friday. I'm not talking about it anymore. And B, and this is like 2 weeks old, someone got the original Doom game running on a pregnancy test. So what have I been playing over the last week? Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, primarily, as it won our Patreon poll. You'll be getting an episode on it very soon. It's just so fucking long and big, and I thought I'd be done it like a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. I think I'll be done it today. As soon as I'm done recording this, I set my computer up to like, create like the actual audio file and the video file. While my computer's doing this, I'm going to fire up San Andreas because I'm so close to being done. Can't wait to put this thing to bed. I have liked most of it though. Then we'll be recording an episode about it. You'll be getting that probably in the next week or two, maybe even next week if I get it done in time. And I've been playing Evergate on my Switch. If you've never heard of it, it's fine. I don't blame you. It's an indie game that was shown on the Indie Publishers Direct Nintendo held about a month or two ago. Just launched, and the publisher was kind enough to hook me up with a free code to try their game. Thank you for the help on that, T-word. I appreciate it. It's a puzzle platformer. It looks a lot like Ori and the Blind Forest. And I'm really digging it. I'm going to finish it. It's pretty short. And then I might do like a video review or something because I don't think there's enough meat there for an actual full podcast. But they were kind enough to send me a copy for review purposes. And I'm a man of my word, so I'll probably do a review something about that pretty soon. And then I'm still dinking around with Fall Guys on my PS4. I'm always playing Tetris 99 on my Switch because it's one of the greatest games ever made. And then Spelunky 2 comes out this week on PS4, and I love the original Spelunky so much. I can't wait to play that. Plus, I got to play Sonic Adventure because that just won our Patreon poll. And I should really just wrap this up and go play some video games because I have tons to fucking play. So that said, let's get into Mario RPG. As has become our tradition, I like to give our Patreons the floor before we get going and let them share some of their thoughts before I get into mine. And the infamous Jeff Johnson at Game on GNT wrote in and said, one of the greatest of all time. I never got into GENO as much as other people did, but I loved all the secrets hidden everywhere, especially Kulix. I hope I said that right. Great storytelling as well. Thanks for writing in again, Jeff. 100% I agree with you, minus not getting into GENO. Although, and we talk about this on the podcast in a minute, I don't know why we all love GENO so much. Like, we just do. I'm not sure what it is about him that is so appealing, but everybody loves GENO. So I disagree with you on that, but it is one of the greatest games ever made. And this game is full of secrets, and they're so much fun to find because this game's not bogged down with random encounters and bullshit like that. Fucking so good. And then Keegan Wilson wrote in, on Patreon instead. I gotta agree with Jeff. This game is amazing and it's surprisingly short, which seems rare for RPGs these days. I loved GENO as a kid and thought he was so cool, but playing it nowadays, him and Mallow kind of suck. I ditch Mallow as soon as I get GENO, and I drop him for Princess Toadstool. Thanks for writing in, Keegan. First of all, Mallow does suck, although based on what I'm hearing on social media, not everybody thinks that, which is weird, but to each their own. Please don't yell at me because I am going to yell about Mallow in the episode in a minute. And it is short. It is a short game, which I actually love. I don't need 50 to 60 hour games all the time. Give me 6 inches of delicious sandwich over a 2.5 foot hoagie that's just full of bologna and ketchup. Maybe that's a stupid analogy, but whatever. On a side note, how the fuck spelling bologna is fucked up. I don't know how it's spelled everywhere else in the world, but spelling it here, it looks like bologna. I don't look up the Canadian spelling of bologna. I don't anyway. That's a topic for another podcast. Let's get into Super Mario RPG with my buddy Tyler. I'm going to cue up some music, and we are going to revisit Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, one of the best games ever on one of the best consoles ever. It originally released in North America on May 13th, 1996. Get comfy. This is a long one. Let's talk Mario RPG. Hey nerds, before we get into the greatness that is Super Mario RPG, I would like to thank the Press Start to Join podcast for sponsoring this week's episode of our show. I seriously listen to Press Start to Join myself. I'm so excited they've offered to sponsor our show, and you really should give them a shot. And if you've been listening for any length of time, you know that I've been skeptical of running ads in the past. I've turned down several sponsors because I'm not going to weigh this podcast down plugging crap that sucks. If something gets the Remember the Game stamp of approval, it has fucking earned it. And Press Start to Join gets that stamp. I love this show, you guys. Press Start to Join is a gaming and technology podcast hosted by Alan and Josh, a couple of nerds, friends of the show, just like the rest of us. Their latest episode is number 317. 317! And it's called Next Gen Gaming OAC. Every week, these guys do all the legwork for you. They break down the biggest news in the world of technology and video games. These guys cover everything. Alan tells you who's offering up free games each week and where you can get them, which seriously, like I said it a couple weeks ago, but that on its own makes this podcast worth your time. Josh looks back at this week in gaming history, which is my absolute favorite segment on the show. I love that stuff. It helps me plan my episodes of the podcast. Do you guys remember Advance Wars? It dropped this week in 2001, which I know thanks to Press Start to Join. They also won the Outstanding Technology Podcast Award at the 2020 Canadian Podcast Awards. I've never won an award like that. These guys are the real deal. They put a ton of work into this thing. It's professional, it's informative, it's entertaining, and I'm legitimately proud to have them sponsoring Remember the Game. New episodes drop every Friday. You can find them on Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts, or you can hit up ps2jshow.com. That's ps2j show.com for more info, thorough show notes. You can listen to the show there as well. You can find all their info in the description box on this episode. Follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at the ps2j show. Again, ps2j show. Tell them I sent you. It won't get you a damn thing, but it would really, really be cool. Press Start to Join podcast, seriously, gets the Remember the Game industry seal of approval. Check them out. Thanks for sponsoring the show, you guys. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs, and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. So this is episode 2 of our Revisited series, where, as I'll have already no doubtedly have explained in the intro, every 10 episodes, we're going to go back and revisit one of the games we talked about in the early days when the podcast sucked even more than it does now, because I still wasn't sure what to do with the podcast. And joining me this week to talk one of those retro games is longtime guest of the show, friend of mine, and all those other fun tags, my pal Tyler. How's it going, buddy?
Oh, pretty good. How are you?
I'm fucking good. I'm sick of, to be honest with you, Tyler, I'm just going to shoot straight with you here, and the whole world can get in on this. I'm sick of podcasts. Like, I've done so many podcasts in the last 96 hours, like stockpiling episodes of Remember the Game. This is the last one, and then I'm done. And it's like, and I'm so happy that we're ending on this, because Super Mario RPG is unequivocally one of the great, it's a hero. It's one of the greatest video games ever made. I don't care what anybody says.
Absolutely.
Now,
and it's a tragedy. It's a tragedy. There's no sequel.
Oh, fuck. Don't even get, dude. I get asked that question so often on like the Q&A episodes and stuff. Like, what's a game you want a sequel to? What's a series that should be brought back? And if I said that in a condescending tone, that was not intentional, because I love getting that question. Super Mario RPG is going to be one of my answers until the sequel happens. If it ever, and I don't want no Paper Mario sequels, and I don't want Mario and Luigi on the fucking handheld sequels. I want Super Mario RPG 2 with GENO and Bowser and Princess, and Smithy is a bad guy, and maybe Mallow, but probably not Mallow.
No, he didn't make the cut. Yeah, he didn't make the cut.
I fucking hate Mallow. So, okay, so this is a good place to start then, because you were literally right before I hit record telling me that you played this the other day in preparation of this show. Yeah,
I played a solid couple hours, and then got to the point I got stuck to when I was a kid, and just was like, I'm fired.
So where did you get stuck? Seaside. Oh, fuck. Is that
in the ship?
Yeah.
The sunken ship.
Yeah.
And I just kind of got to the point where I was like, all right, everything was old hat. You know, like I'd done all this stuff before. It was all kind of coming back to me. And then I got to this point, and I was like, I need to look this up to figure it out.
Right.
I'm dumb. I'm old. I got too much going on.
Now, okay. So now just quickly, that's a fair point. Like, and you know what? When we score this game at the end, the thing that's going to keep this game from a perfect score is going to be the pirate ship. Because to me, that is like in Final Fantasy 2/4, there's that dungeon where you can't use metal weapons that I've griped about infinite times on the show here. I
forgot about that.
I hate that dungeon.
Oh.
The pirate ship in Super Mario RPG is that dungeon. It just kind of drags and it kind of sucks. Like, are you stuck because it's hard, or are you stuck because you're stuck at the puzzles?
I'm stuck at a puzzle.
Oh, okay.
It's like... you got to open the right door with a password or something, and
you got
six rooms to find the hints with the passwords, and I just kind of am like,
okay.
And I'm not necessarily stuck in like when I was a kid and I spent probably 4 or 5 hours wandering around the stupid pirate ship, being like, well, obviously my IQ isn't greater than the guys who developed this. I'm an idiot,
right?
And I was too cheap to buy it. And also, like, you know, the bane of renting cartridge games back in the day. You rent it, you play it, you get stuck at a point, you have to return it, you rent it again, someone saved over your save point. You're just like, well, fuck.
Yeah, RPGs are a tough rental. I rented this game when I was a kid too, before I got it for Christmas. And like, RPGs are a tough rent, because realistically, like, unless you were pulling off one of those like week-long rentals in the summertime, like if it's like a Friday to Sunday night rental on the weekend, you're not beating that game. Even if your parents don't make you go somewhere and you literally get, I mean, say you rented at 5 o'clock Friday night and you could play till 10 o'clock Sunday night when you have to go to bed. Let's just say that. So what is that? That's 53 hours. You're not beating fucking Super Mario RPG in that time when you don't know where to go and you don't have the internet to look up how to beat it. You're not. That's impossible.
you know, and like in some of the RPGs, you'd rent like Final Fantasy 3 and Final Fantasy 2 or 4 and 6 or whatever, however you want to categorize them.
Yeah.
You know, you could rename all your characters, and some dickhead named Adam would always save over my fucking save spaces. But Mario didn't have the renaming.
By accident when I lead back to laugh, so I don't know if you're saying anything. Just talk for a second while I plug in my. There we go. I'm back. Okay, sorry, I lost you. I lost you when you said that Adam was a dickhead and erased your save.
Yeah, for Final Fantasy 2 and 6 or 2 and 3.
So I'll ask you then, because sorry guys, we'll get more into Super Mario RPG, but this is I'm interested. Admittedly, maybe this makes me a piece of shit because I feel like this is the gaming version of the kid that pulls the wings off flies when you're little. But like when I would rent a game, the first thing I would do is go through and just erase every save file on the game.
What?
Yeah, I don't know if it was why I did it, and it feels good to finally get that off my chest. But yeah, like if I rented it, and you know what's really obnoxious about that is like, say I rent Final Fantasy 2, I only need one save. Like there's 4 save files in there. I could leave 3 completely untouched and just play my 4th one. But for some reason I was like, no, I used my allowance. I rented this game. This is mine for the next 72 hours. And I don't want Tyler's half-assed, shitty, not finished file clogging up my perfectly precise gaming. So I would go through it. You didn't do that? I'm just curious if anyone else did that or if it was just me being a psycho.
Never. I had something called honor amongst gamers. I thought I was joking. I was just taking a jab at you, but now I know it was you because we grew up in the same town, and you for sure were the asshole erasing my fucking game.
Well, I don't want to clog it up mine, and I don't want to accidentally spoil something. Yeah, I was bad for that. It was so obnoxious too. I don't know why. Even to this day, like I don't like having, because I'm a single gamer now. Like I have a girlfriend, but in my gaming life, I'm practically single. And I don't want to have more than one save. I don't want anyone else on my games. Like, this is mine. Get out of here. Go buy your own. So yeah, I did that.
Tell me the truth. You go to your cousins and your friends' houses and still erase their games.
Oh, I don't have any friends anymore.
Because you erased all their
because I erased all their files. But if I had friends, yeah, fucking rights, I would do. No, I wouldn't do that, dude. Okay, sorry guys, I promise. This is the last story. Then we're gonna get deeper into Super Mario RPG. Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Last summer, that game took over my life. I played the fuck out of that game. Great game, by the way. My game of the year for 2019. And I was playing it, and then my nephew was staying at our house for a week. My nephew Ben, who comes on the show sometimes, and he asked if he could play it, and I said, "Sure, just don't touch my file. Like, make sure you save your own file, because I'd be pissed if I lose like 60 hours of work." And then he started his own file, and he played it while he was here. And then when he went home, the first thing I did was go in and get rid of his save files, because he was like, "I'm never gonna play it again. He's done with it." So I was like, "All right, then I'm getting rid of your files." And I accidentally deleted my own save file. And I'm telling you, Tyler, the momentary like panic that set in, I was like, Shaylee was like, he might cry. Like, I was so upset. And then I remembered that one of the few benefits you get out of Nintendo's subpar online service is cloud saves if you pay for the online subscription. And my 3 Houses save was sitting there ready to go. So
you can tell me the truth. Shaylee laughed when you cried.
Oh, she was like, oh yeah. Well, she doesn't know the story about me erasing old save files when I was a kid, but I thought to myself, like, that's karma. That I fucking deserve that. But they were back. So, okay. So Mario RPG, you got stuck at the pirate ship, but let's talk about how wicked awesome the game is prior to the pirate ship. This game fucking owns. Like,
absolutely.
The Super Nintendo's tough because there's so many great RPGs on it. What's your favorite Super Nintendo RPG?
My favorite is probably Chrono Trigger, followed by this, and then the Final Fantasy series. And I can't pick one. 2 and 3 or 4 and 6, like however you want to categorize them.
Yeah,
we're on par with each other. And Chrono Trigger, the only reason I liked it is one of the first RPGs I played in peak.
That's fair. Yeah. So everybody's got an attachment. Like Final Fantasy 2 is my first RPG, so I like that game. That game feels like my child. Like nobody talks shit about Final Fantasy 2. Plus it's awesome. Right. But you and I did Chrono Trigger, right? You were my guest on Chrono Trigger, and I was pretty negative actually on Chrono Trigger. Now that I think about it, and I don't hate it. I feel like we need to revisit that eventually because I want to apologize to that game.
Well, and the way you have to look at it is it's kind of the Animal Farm of 1984. Like it's the introduction to the JRPGs, right? Like Chrono Trigger, it's very streamlined compared to the Final Fantasies. It's way quicker.
Right.
But then, if you played that and liked it, go check out a Final Fantasy game because it is the big brother of Chrono Trigger, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. And you know what? And so that's a great way to tie in Super Mario RPG. I think one of the most incredible, like, one of the biggest feathers is Super Mario RPG's hat. And listen, I know that like Square Enix was involved in, or Squaresoft at the time, whatever, was involved in Super Mario RPG. But like when you're going up on a console that's got Chrono Trigger, it's got Final Fantasy 2, Final Fantasy 3, it's got Earthbound, it's got Secret of Mana, Secret of Evermore, and I'm sure more RPGs that I'm not thinking of right now off the top of my head. Like it's got like it is. I think the PlayStation 1 and the Super Nintendo are considered by many to be the two peak JRPG consoles, at least of the retro era, right? And that Super Mario RPG could come along and Nintendo could, at least, be half of the pie, and they could create this brand new this brand new system, brand new engine, new game mechanics, all this stuff. Take a guy who's normally a platformer, put him into this RPG, and not only did they do all that stuff, but it stands toe to toe with a bunch of the greatest RPGs ever made is really special. Like that's a big thing.
Well, and even like just the little things that they added, like the puzzles are more intricate and more at home with the Mario game. The combat having, you could do those little combos where you could do critical attack. Like it was active, an active button to hit for the critical attack.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like that's way more engaging than the Final Fantasy ones where it's just your turn, you click what you're going to do. And, that's fine and whatever, but it just added that little bit of an extra element that wasn't in any of the other games. So it wasn't just a direct, not rip off, but you know what I mean? Directly inspired by those other games.
They didn't just take the formula.
They added their own flavor.
Yeah.
Yeah, they added their own flavor.
Yeah, I agree, dude. That's a great point because, like, it's not even an argument. I'll just straight up say that, like, Final Fantasy 2 and Final Fantasy 3 in particular, and Chrono Trigger, all have infinitely better stories than Super Mario RPG. By Mario standards, Mario RPG has a good story, but compared to those games, it's still kind of a ho-hum fairy tale Mario quick basic story. But you're right. Where it makes up for it is in some of those mechanics. Like they obviously added a little bit of platforming and stuff in the overworld, but that timed hits in combat to me is like, I remember the first time I played this and I was like, that's awesome. Because if I have a criticism of Final Fantasy 2 and 3, it's that and anyone that's played those games, especially on the Super Nintendo, knows you could basically just hold A. Like it's just, what I mean? Yeah. Like most of your combat is just tap, 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 and then just wait it out. You know what I mean? Whereas in this one, you're constantly paying attention, not only because those timed hits of being able to tap A right as you attack does more damage, or tap the button right as someone hits you and you block damage or whatever. Like, sure, not only does it make the game easier, the game's not super hard to begin with, but it just keeps you invested. It's like playing a little bit of an action game during a JRPG.
Yeah, exactly. And like I'm the type of guy, like especially now in my old age, like I have to play competitive games with other people. I have really hard time sitting down and playing a game by myself. This is something that keeps me engaged. Like I almost would say I'm borderline ADHD in that I can't sit still unless something's super interactive, right?
Right.
And it's one of those elements where I was like, oh no, I'm okay with this. Like,
yeah. And they do a great job too of like those, especially the attacks. Because like Mario's got like he can use hammer and his jump, but then like I also love I don't know why they don't do this in more RPGs with Mario. Like I love that he has the shell. I guess maybe they do like in Paper Mario and Thousand Year Door because you get a Koopa Troopa like sidekick and you can kick the shell. But like my favorite weapon of Mario's during Mario RPG is the shells when you throw them in the air and then kick them at the enemy. And like the sound is satisfying, and then when you hit A at the right moment and you get the extra like explosion noise and all the stars go off. I don't know if there's like a small part of like a 5-year-old boy trapped in my brain that is never not going to be mesmerized by those lights and that sound, but I just love it. Like the timing is just so, it almost feels like your controller should rumble even though it doesn't. Like
that'd be a great addition, right?
Yeah, right. Like it just feels so fucking good, and the block, and the fact that like your weapons change up constantly, like, and we'll get into the other characters in a minute, but even just as Mario, like you can.
Well, and then they animated new weapons. They didn't have to do that. They could have had like 3 basic things or whatever, however many variants of weapons there are, and they could have just had those basic ones. But they add like a different flavor for each weapon.
Yeah.
Like
Mario punches, and as you get better punches, his hands like grow bigger and stuff like that. And then the hammers look different, and the Koopa shells that you kick at people look different. And then, like you say, you add in all the different guys, and all they would have had to done is, again, I'm going to keep comparing it to the other Super Nintendo RPGs because that's just it's in their class. Like when you play Final Fantasy 2, if you equip Cecil with a new sword, the sword changes color or whatever, but nothing else changes.
Yeah, it's the same outline, right?
Right.
And it's the same in Chrono Trigger. Like, you know, his sword turns purple. At the end, it's the rainbow shell sword, so it's kind of pinkish, rainbowy, right?
Right.
But it doesn't look different. It never looks different.
Right. Whereas in this game, you're right. Every single weapon looks different. And that really, like, little details like that really draw me in. I kind of wish their armor changed based on what you equip for armor. But I can live with it not.
Sick.
Yeah, but I get that they wanted to keep, like, they all look like themselves.
Yeah.
So Mario's got, go ahead.
They could have had Mario with the raccoon armor, the cape, stuff like that. That was all out at this point, right?
Oh, yeah. So. That would have been, if they gave him, like, items from the other games as his, like, armor, that would have been so sick. Oh, fuck. Or even, like, when you use, like, because Mario's got, like, his fire spells. All of his spells are jumping in fire. And like it'd be so rad if when you use your fire spells, he turned into Firepower Mario with like the white and the red outfit. I mean, we're just nitpicking. Those are little things, but that would look great. So Mario's got
no. Nintendo's listening to this for the sequel and taking notes, being like, "Man, these guys are fucking on fire." Think tank. Mario think tank right here.
You know what? I'm torn on that. If you were like, yo, Nintendo's going to listen to your podcast, part of me would be like, oh my God, that's the coolest thing. And part of me would be like, please don't yell at me for using your music. I'm not getting any money out of it. It's free. Please don't yell at me because they're crazy. But yeah, so Mario's got those attacks. And then the first sidekick you get is Mallow, who I know there are people that like Mallow, and I get that Mallow's kind of like Vivi from Final Fantasy IX, where he's like the little runt and he's got magic and stuff like that. Even as a child, I never liked Mallow.
Not even a little bit.
Right?
His special ability is to bend over and take it from the Koopa Troopers. Like, I don't...
He sucks so bad. Like the thing about him is like, he becomes so, I mean, he's handy when you get him because you've got a second member in your party. So you've got someone else.
And a healer.
Yeah.
Like up until having him, I was kind of going, holy shit. You don't really run into too many enemies that you can't handle on your own. And occasionally get that like full HP flower from killing an enemy.
Yeah, that's right.
But it's just nice to have that little bit of control.
Yeah,
but as soon as you get Peach, it's like, all right, Mallow, you're out.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, you're right. When you first get him, it's nice to have somebody else to take damage. Plus he's got his healing spells, but like when you get him, they make it sound like he's a pretty good magician. And like the RPG fan in me, the first time I got Mallow was like, oh, well, this is clearly going to be like the Paula from Earthbound or like the Rosa from Final Fantasy 2. Like this will be my healer. Probably has some cool attack magic, like, and then it turns out that like, nah, most of his magic sucks other than he can heal you. And he thinks he's a that's the thing that bothers me the most about Mallow, I think, is that he thinks he's a tadpole. And that was the story that like, they were like, oh, he's a tadpole. And everyone's like, everyone you meet is like, he's a cloud. Like, what the fuck? He thinks he's a tadpole? And then when he finds out the truth from Frogicus or whatever the fuck his name was there, the old wise frog, the master splinter of frogs, and he explains that he's not actually a tadpole. I do love the way they do the silly, like, and everyone, like, freaks out in the game, and then Mallow gets upset, and then he's like, well, I'm going to go find my parents. But I just was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, why can't you just say that he doesn't know what he is and he lives with the frogs? Like, I get that this is indicated or this is built toward children, and I get that it's got to be funny, but, like, it's not even funny. It's just like, no, he's not. He's not a fucking... I played this when I was, like, 10 years old, and I was like, he's clearly a cloud. Like, fuck, I hate Mallow. He sucks so much. And he jumps out of his pants.
I thought he was a marshmallow when I was a kid. Mallow, marshmallow.
Yeah, I actually did too. I thought he was a marshmallow too. And then when he does his stupid spells, he jumps out of his pants, but his pants sit there with shoes, but he's got no legs or butt. And then he falls back on top of it. And I was like, what are you, like Krang? Are you like the good Krang where you have to ride around in a mechanical body and you're just a talking ball? Like, I fucking hate I hate Mallow. But the only thing I like about Mallow is that I love his the way he bitch slaps people.
Just winds up.
Yeah, did you get that far with him where he's got that attack? I can't remember if that's what he starts with, because I know he can use symbols at one point, which sucks too.
Yeah, they're junk. Yeah, you get all of that by the seaside.
Okay. Yeah. His attack where he fucking like he reaches out and like literally it's just like a fucking an open palm like smack and then he'll backhand them and then if you do like the right timing then his hand grows and he slaps them again. And I just think it's the funniest thing. You're fighting these like big giant bosses and here's this shitty little cloud that thinks he's a frog without feet and he has crappy magic and he just walks up and just slaps them right in the face. And I just think it's the greatest. That's Mallow's redeeming qualities. The slap is fucking hilarious.
Worthy of the best party member?
No. Fuck off.
What's
No.
your perfect party? What's your perfect party?
Oh, it's Mario, Bowser, Princess.
Oh, you don't like GENO?
No, okay. So, all right. Well, so GENO. Dude, I gotta say, so obviously you're a GENO fan.
Yeah, I would have GENO, Mario, Princess. That's my party.
Okay. See, now, like, there's nothing wrong with that. I just like Bowser, the character, more than GENO. But GENO, like, everything. This is the thing about Mario RPG. They introduced 2 new characters as allies. One is Mallow, the stupid cloud that thinks he's a frog that sucks. And the other one is GENO, which is some godly spirit that comes to the planet and then takes over a doll and then becomes a member of your party. And he's such a boss. Like, he's so cool. He seems cool when you win fights and he just turns to the camera and nods like a pimp. And he's just like a tank. His attacks do so much damage.
He's got a machine gun elbow.
Right. Like, he's so rad. He's like Barrett from Final Fantasy VII, but way cooler.
I was thinking Vincent from Final Fantasy VII.
Fair enough. He's like Vincent and Barrett.
Yeah, mixed into one. One's
Yeah.
badass.
He's Barrett. That's stupid. But no, Geno's Geno's awesome. And they have never done anything with him. And I don't, like, listen, I know there's people that want him in Smash. I know that he shows up as like a trophy in Smash or a costume or something like that. But like, he's never shown up again. And I got to imagine there's some kind of headache between Square and Nintendo where it's fuzzy about who owns the rights to him or something. Because they're not stupid. I mean, I know Nintendo ignores us all the time. But Nintendo has heard the outcry. They know the people want something with GENO. Like, something.
And especially, like, I feel like the Nintendo consoles really let down Square for developing games at a point. But with the Switch, they could totally get back in bed with Nintendo and start developing JRPGs like Mario RPG and have it be Switch exclusive. It wouldn't hurt their brand at all.
If
either of them.
No, I agree 100%. And if they ever made a true sequel to this game, like, first of all, GENO would have to be in it. And second of all, like, not only would GENO have to be in it, but this is coming from like a diehard Mario fan who would be pretty hard pressed to not put Mario RPG in my 10 favorite games of all time list. Like, I would want GENO to be the star. Like, let GENO come to Earth and then be like, hey, I need some help. And, like, get the team back together.
That would be so good.
Like, because everybody that played this game, and it's so weird, Tyler, I don't get what about GENO clicks so hard compared to Mallow. Like, I don't know what it is about him, but he's so cool. Like, he's just so rad, and everybody likes him so much.
I mean, he's a puppet. Like you said, he's a freaking puppet, but he's just so much cooler.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the best part. Is like, he's not even like a badass character. He's a doll that like that a ghost takes over.
It's his cape.
Yeah.
That's the truth of it. He has a blue cape. Mallow has stupid shoes with no feet in them.
Yeah. And dude, and you know what I love? And because another thing that this game does so well is the humor. When the humor's on, the humor is that classic, like the Paper Mario games and the Mario and Luigi games and some of like the funnier Mario games that have come out. Like, they can be traced back to this game. And one of my, if not my favorite joke / gag in this entire game is when you meet GENO, because you go to that kid's house and he's got the Mario, Princess, Bowser, and GENO dolls. And he's like making them fight. And then you go to bed or whatever. And then you see the spirit come down, the little star. And it goes to Mario, Princess, Bowser before it takes over GENO. And then when you meet GENO, he explains that he picked GENO because he just seemed like the most powerful of the 4 of them. And it's like, and he admits that to Mario. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just think that's like the funniest thing. That he was just like, no, this guy seemed like the coolest one. And he is. Like, he's so cool. It really, like, I just want something with GENO. Like, even a t-shirt, release t-shirts that say missing or reward or something with Geno's face on them. Like, do something with this guy because he's so cool. And like you said, he's a fucking... So you take him as your tank over Bowser, eh?
Yeah.
Now, is that...
Any day.
Is that because you don't like Bowser or because you like Geno, or you think he's more powerful? Like, is it strategy or preference or what?
You know what? I think it's just because I thought Geno looked cooler. I, like, in my senior years, have come to appreciate Bowser quite a bit more, especially in this game, because his story in this game is funny. Like, the comedy of errors and him losing his followers and then kind of groveling to Mario, not groveling, but like that double... that backhanded, like, I guess you can join the Koopa Troopa. And, like, he just has a fun story. And I like Bowser a lot more than I used to.
Yeah. All right, I can respect that. Because I got to say, like, I've gone on record many times as saying Bowser's my favorite gaming character ever. And this game is why Bowser's my favorite character. Because I played it when I was... again, like 12 or 13 years old. And Bowser is so goddamn funny. Like that's such a great segue into Bowser, the character. First of all, I adore it anytime you get to make bad enemies team up. It's just like when What's-His-Name joins you in Chrono Trigger.
Yep.
Fuck's his name?
Where, no, not Vincent. It's Magnus.
Magnus, yeah.
Magnus.
When he joins you, I love that kind of stuff. And the fact that anyone that played this when it came out, like people our age, spent the last 10 years fighting Bowser as Mario and saving the princess all the time. And now all of a sudden here he comes and like you said, like his castle gets taken over by Smithy, the bad guy. And then the Koopa Troopa slowly deserts him because they're all like, well, we can't win. We're not going to win this fight against Smithy. His bad guys are too strong. And every time you come across Bowser, his army is a little bit smaller and a little bit smaller. And then finally you run into him and he's literally crying. He's literally crying, being like, this sucks. I miss my castle. And then he sees Mario and does and they do such a great job of like making it seem this way. He does the thing, where like a character in a movie's crying and then they see someone else and they're like, and they just pretend like nothing happened, and they go back to being like the badass guy.
Right. And for how limited the console was for sound and emotion and everything like that, they did it flawlessly. They make it so good. And the way he's crying and those two giant teardrops, just like they look like they're stuck on his eye and they're just flobbing up and down. I think it looks fucking hilarious. And then the best part of the whole thing with Bowser, and you already said it, you nailed it, is when he he tells Mario, he's like, oh, well, all right, well, fine. I guess you can join the Koopa Troop. And then like the narrating script even says, apparently you joined the Koopa Troop. and then they just let Bowser. So then they just let Bowser come with them, but they act like you joined the Koopa Troop. Like, I thought that was so fucking well done. Like, so funny. Oh, so good. And then it turns out that, like, again, and this is a preference thing to me, like, you could choose, like, you're gonna roll with either Bowser or Geno. In a perfect world, if it was up to me, I would dump Mario and my team would be Bowser, Geno, and Princess. Ooh,
because
hot take.
What's that?
Hot take. Well, Adam abandons Mario.
I mean, I love Mario, but like the bottom line is that Bowser and Geno both do way more damage than Mario does. Way more.
Especially Geno, he has some attacks that like really rip up Smitty's crew.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. Oh yeah. So so Mallow's attacks suck other than the pimp slap. We talked about that. Geno just like has a variety of different guns. Like every single one of his weapons is just a new gun that shoots his hand at bad guys. And then all of his spells are also just like big shooting things, aren't they?
Yeah. He has one that's a giant laser that cuts across the screen, and I didn't get too far with his abilities because, like I said, I was stuck at Seaside. But
right.
Yeah, just a bunch of like gun variants, right?
Right. Like, so some of his attacks, like, I mean, maybe they're not as varied as like Mario or Mallow or anything, but they all do so much damage and they're easy to get the timing down of. And yeah, and he's just so cool. But then Bowser, this is another thing I love about Bowser in this game. Some of the attacks they give him are fucking hilarious. Like, there's the basic, like, where he slashes with his claws and then throws the big haymaker, and that's a cool attack. But then you can get the chain chomps, where you spin them around on the chain and then whip them at the bad guy. And then if you hit the button at the right time, the chomp actually chows down on them for a minute. Like, that's such a badass attack, man. Fucking love it. And then, did you get any of the weapons where he throws Mario?
Yeah, just one.
Oh, that's the fucking. I think that is the greatest thing in the world. That he literally just picks Mario up and whips him at the bad guy. And then if you hit the timing right, Mario bounces back and Bowser catches him and throws him again. And the way and the look on Mario's face every time where he's like, what the fuck? And Bowser throws him. I'm just gushing. Like, this is where Bowser became my favorite character. Those are all such rad attacks. His magic's hot garbage though.
Well, and yeah, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't like using Bowser very much. But I don't know. He's the funniest character for sure.
Yeah, he is. But you know what? Like because admittedly, like I've probably beaten this game a dozen times, and I always roll the party of Mario, Princess, and Peach, or Toadstool as she is in this game still. But I never really thought about that. You're right. Geno's got like the magic. Like whereas Bowser is all offense. Like he's got his magic's fucking brutal. Whereas Geno's got these big cannon special attacks, right?
Yeah, he can turn into a freaking cannon at one point, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. They're both. I mean, it's a preference thing. Like in a perfect world, you could run both of them, and they'd be like the Bash Brothers, and they would just fuck everybody up. But then you don't have a healer because the last one to join your party is actually Princess. We'll call her Toadstool for the sake of the game because back then she was just Toadstool. But she ends up joining your party, and she's like the stereotypical white wizard, like to the T. Like her attacks suck, but she's got all kinds of magic, and her magic fucking owns in this game, man.
Yeah, well, she's the best healer. That's that's why I wouldn't use Mallow.
Yeah, you don't have to. I don't even care what we call him. We'll just call him shitty cloud.
Shitty cloud, yeah.
Shitty cloud. Shitty cloud. No, she's a wicked healer. Because as soon as you get her, she's got, I can't remember the name of her first healing move. But then after a little while, then you get group hug, where she heals everybody.
Yeah, and that's the best.
Oh, that move's like almost overpowered. It's so helpful. Like, and then like, I don't know how you are, but like once I'm rolling a team of Mario, Peach, and then a tank of either Bowser or Geno, then it just literally becomes a matter of like, Peach, especially in some of the harder battles, is just spamming group hug, while Mario and whoever the other one is doing all the damage.
Yeah, that's usually how I'd play. But sometimes I'd play Mallow, Peach, and Mario, and just have nothing but heals.
Yeah, so you'd never die, but it'd just be
Team
two
Medic
of them.
Force.
Team Medic Force, just two of them keeping Mario alive. But I love it, dude. I love that pinch, like that they like, because outside of Super Mario Brothers 2, we never really got a chance to play as Princess Peach, and then I guess in the Mario Kart. So this was like, it was really cool to see her get a moment to shine and be like, yo, I have this magic and it's really good. And then she, oh no, wait, does she do the bitch? No, it's her that does the bitch slap. It's not Mallow.
No, I thought Mallow had a big slap too.
Maybe they both do.
I hardly played with him though. He has the symbols for sure. Yeah. I'm just actually watching a video on all the attacks.
Because I know Princess has she does like a huge slap with the glove that she gets. And then she also gets like frying pans.
Oh, Mallow punches both his hands.
That's what it is. Oh, dude.
And then he has his stupid stick.
Oh, that stick. That's right. He gets that stupid cane thing from...
And his hands do get big. Like, his hands do get big like a bitch slap.
Okay. But not like Princess's slap. I'm literally doing it with my hand. Like, I just think it's like the coolest thing. That like Princess does all this healing and she's like the heart of the team and she's actually like really badass. And like, I almost would have liked to have seen them, you know how they make Bowser into kind of a clown in this game? I think it would have been funny if they had made her, like given her a little bit of edge and like, cause she's always like super sweet, prim, proper Princess Peach. And it would have been really funny if maybe at one point Bowser was crying and she was just like, grow the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like if she just yelled at him and was like, where's this when you're kidnapping me every 2 years or something like that? Like that, I don't know. But either way, like Princess is awesome in this game. And she's the best healer. It's not even like, I don't know why anyone would keep playing as stupid Mallow. I don't get why. Like, I'm not trying to be a jerk, but like he just sucks so hard.
Oh, and she has the frying pan.
Yeah, she's got the frying pan too. There's going to be so many people that like were screaming at the radio when we were like, Mallow's got this big bitch slap, when it's Princess that does that big slap. I'm sure it is.
Well, and he does have like a big hand move. He punches with both his hands and they get big.
Right. But you're getting punched by a cloud. Fuck, I hate him.
oh no, the vapors and mist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In 10 to 15 years, I might have slight breathing difficulties because of you, loser. So that's it. And that's the 5 characters. And I will say, like, where do you stand? Because, like, this is one of those games where it gives you the option of rotating your team in and out as much as you want, other than Mario.
Yeah.
And that, like, to me, that's the same as, like, Chrono Trigger. You can build whatever team you want. Final Fantasy VI, you could build a team however you want. Whereas, like, Final Fantasy II and Earthbound, you've got to roll the team that they're giving you at any given time. And I personally prefer that because normally I get, like, a little obsessive about trying to level everybody up and make all my teammates good. And I don't want to have to constantly switch team members out. Like, do you prefer being able to set your team, or do you prefer, like, a locked and loaded team that the story tells you who you're playing as?
I guess it depends on the story in the game. Like, in something like this, I don't mind being able to pick my team because I really don't pick the players that I don't use. But in something like Final Fantasy, not Final Fantasy, and Chrono Trigger, where you lose one of your characters, or Final Fantasy VII too. Aerith was my healer, and then when she dies, I'm like, oh, that was a fucking waste of time. Why did I spend hours, grinding to get her really good heals? Bullshit. And same when you lose Chrono in Chrono Trigger.
Right.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I guess spoilers, yeah. Oh, well, it doesn't matter. We've already talked about both those games.
They're old games.
But yeah,
but losing those characters that you pump a bunch of time into pisses me off. So, but when I have a choice and I figure out the team I want, I don't spend time grinding with the other characters. So
yeah,
as long as I don't have to end up having to use them, because then they're super underpowered and it sets me back days where I just go to a lower level area and have to grind with the pieces of shit B team.
Yeah, like that's always been my one big criticism of Final Fantasy 3/6 is that I'm like, there's certain people I don't want to use, but I don't like, don't make me choose. Just give me a team. Like, I like that. Just give me a team and let me play. And in this game, once I've got Bowser and Peach, between my admiration of Bowser, Peach is an absolute necessity. Like, I don't know how anyone plays the last third of this game without Princess Peach in their party. And then you got to have Mario. So really the only major choice you can make is Bowser, Geno, or Mallow. And once you eliminate shitty Mallow, then it becomes, do you want Bowser or do you want Geno? And I do prefer that because I'm the same way. I pick my team of 3 and then I'm just going to roll that team the rest of the way. And admittedly, like, it's not like this game is not the world's deepest RPG. Like, I gotta say, Tyler, I fucking love the concept of when you level up, you can pick which of those 3 categories you want to level up or give a bonus to. Like, you can bonus your HP, bonus your attack and defense, or bonus your magic attack and defense. And, to me, that's like, some people are going to shit on me for this and say it's not deep enough, but to me, that is the perfect level of customization. Just a little bit.
Well, especially when it's the, first game, like, they don't have to overcomplicate it. They kept it, just complicated enough to keep you interested and to keep it dynamic, but not so that you're having to figure out, a very convoluted system of leveling up and customizing your guys.
Yeah.
And then if they come out with a sequel, I'd expect it to be more complicated, but this was perfect for what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I got to assume that part of the logic behind that was they were like, yo, if we put Mario on the cover of this, kids are going to want it. So it can't be like the world's deepest RPG because kids are going to play this. So they kind of dumbed it down and made the bright, colorful, like, because literally it's so, like, I love that when you level up, it goes to that animation where they, like, the player comes out of the pipe and then you get to choose what skill you want to level up, and it's 3 bright, colorful boxes. Like, it clearly, like, it screams like it's for children, but it works. And I'm the type of, like, I always, for Mario, I kind of vary it, but then, like, Bowser, every single time he levels up, and I would do the same with Geno, it's attack, defense, attack, like, just make them into fucking stone cold killers. And then Peach, I used to do her HP all the time to try to keep her alive.
You wouldn't do crit on anybody?
No.
Oh man, I always built a crit character.
Oh really?
And then get that timing down, so all of a sudden it jumps up like 200%.
Yeah.
Beauty.
No, I don't know. I just always, because, like, at the end of the day, and, like, that's the thing about this game. I know that you were like, oh, the pirate ship kind of sucks, and there is one particular puzzle in the pirate ship that sucks. And the pirate ship's just boring because you got to fight ghosts, and it's the same ghosts over and over and over again. But and it's a boring. Anyway, I hate the pirate ship. But other than the pirate ship, it's awesome. It's just not the deepest, most complicated, most complex. Frankly, not the most difficult RPG in the world. Like, it doesn't really, really matter how you level guys up. As long as you're fighting enough to stay at a level that's passable for the game, you're probably not going to run into too much trouble.
Yeah, exactly. like I was saying about Chrono Trigger, where it's a nice introduction to the JRPG. This is an even more soft introduction to the RPG genre.
Yeah.
Like if you enjoy Mario, you might enjoy this just on that fact alone. And if you like the style of game it is, then it opens up a door to many other games like that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a great point. And that's another thing. So I don't get this, but there are people out there that don't like the way that think this game looks ugly. Like that don't like the graphics. Really? Oh, dude, like Google it. And they don't think it's aged well. They don't think it looks nice. I think it looks
phenomenal. And I think it aged well. Like I'm playing it right now, and like the SNES is one of the consoles that all the games have aged super well because they were limited in what they could do graphically. So they really focused on minimalistic details. There's a whole genre of modern games that's focused on making graphics the same as what was available then. Like I can't believe people don't think this aged well. It's aged wonderfully.
Yeah, but there's people that don't think like Donkey Kong Country looks good today either. And I'm like, dude, you guys, I just think you're crazy. Like I think those games look fucking awesome. Like and this game,
like compared to what? Compared to Modern Warfare Warzone? Yeah, Donkey Kong doesn't look good, but compared to like what was out at the time, that looks amazing and has aged well. Like it still looks, yes, it's pixely, but you got to understand what you're working with. You're not working with, 16 gigs of RAM, a Titan 1080 fucking graphics card. You're working with the Super Nintendo.
Yeah. And
like there's only so much you can see on that thing.
Yeah, man. And like I'm looking at pictures of this game right now, like, and I might be wrong. I very rarely am, but I shouldn't be that guy. I'm wrong all the time. But I don't think we had seen Mario outside of 2-dimensional yet in a game. And I would say he's like I don't know if it's like full-blown 3D, but like it's the same, it's the concept. Yeah, like he's not just a stick picture on a fucking screen anymore. And I just was so mesmerized by, and again, I'm biased, but like Bowser was the one in this game where I'm like, dude, you look so badass. Like when you can really see how big he is and with the muscles and the big spikes on his back and stuff like that. Like, I love the way this game looks.
So, and that's what I was thinking about is that the Mario N64, like the adventure game, the Mario on N64, the first one.
Yeah.
This was like the predecessor to that in that it was, not true 3D, but almost there and gave you a sense that Mario could go up, down, left, right, around, like move in 3 dimensions in the X, Y, and Z axes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And I think this gave Nintendo the confidence to do that with the N64.
Yeah, you might be right because absolutely like this was the time where we got to see like, oh, he doesn't just move left, right, like he can go back and forth and stuff like that. And that is another thing, like, and it's not maybe because Mario's in it. It's because it's a Mario title. The like overworld like platforming aspects and some of the jumping and stuff like that is bar none. Like I don't care what anyone says, this is the most entertaining overworld in any RPG on the Super Nintendo by a mile. Like,
yeah, I agree.
It's so much fun to run around and you get to explore these places and they're all so bright and colorful. And the fact that you have that Mario like running and jumping and hidden blocks and stuff, like they took aspects of his platforming games and put them into an RPG. I just think is like the coolest thing. And then, no random encounters. Bonus points to everybody that makes an RPG and don't include random encounters. Total bonus points.
Well, you can avoid every fight in this game. Yeah. That's something I love. Yeah. I love that.
I mean, you'd be horribly underpowered, but you can do it. Yeah. But I love that when I go into an area, like this is like one of the things that keeps me from exploring games like Final Fantasy 2 and 3 is that I don't want to deal with all the random encounters when I go into a dungeon. You know what I mean? It's like, fuck, I just want to go see if there's a weapon or something in here and I don't want to have to fight every 8 steps. Whereas this game, not only is the combat fun and I want to do the combat, but I can avoid the combat if I want to. And it's pretty easy to avoid because most of the bad guys don't really even come after you that hard. Some of them can't even move unless you touch them, like plants and stuff.
There's a few that will dart out at you when you're going to jump at one of the coin boxes or anything like that. Like it's a couple of Goombas and stuff are like strategically hidden, and when you jump and you have to move quickly, but
right,
or just fight the fight. But.
Right. But they did a great job of, like you said, making most of it avoidable. And you know what? Like, when you're playing this game, you know it's an RPG, but it really does. And I don't even know how exactly to say it, but they really captured the essence of a Mario game in this RPG. Like even the Paper Mario games, I don't feel like they feel like a Mario game. Like they feel like a Paper Mario game. Whereas Mario RPG feels like they took Super Mario World and made it into an RPG. Like everything.
I agree.
About it.
It has that feel, and it definitely is true to the theme. The music's there. The puzzling, like I said, the puzzling doesn't feel like any of the JRPG puzzles. It does feel like Mario puzzles.
Yeah.
You know, especially now having played like the N64 Mario and some of the later games that rely more on the puzzles and aren't just the side-scrolling, jumping, traditional Mario games.
Right.
So it does have those elements and definitely feels true to a Mario game.
It really just feels like playing a Mario it's a Mario game as an RPG. And fuck me, we're 45 minutes into this thing and we haven't even mentioned Smithy. Like they could have simply made the game where it's Mario, Luigi, maybe Toad, you introduce Mallow, GENO if you want, whatever, but you got to take down Bowser. I gotta say, like, fucking massive props. So like Smithy is a take it or leave it character. I could care less if we ever see Smithy again. But the fact that like you came up with an enemy that doesn't suck, that's more powerful than Bowser, that kicked Bowser out of his castle, and that's why Bowser's team has deserted him and he has to join Mario. I fucking love it. Like, I think it's infinitely more like if they had pitched this to me, if I had been in the board meetings when they were like, no, Bowser's going to be a good guy and you're going to take down this other guy who's just like a giant sword with a dog face.
And like the Axum Rangers.
Yeah, I love that.
They do a parody of basically the Power Rangers.
Yeah. Yeah. I love the villains in this game. Like, it's like, to me, they do come across as like, and maybe it's just because, again, most people that were playing this grew up playing Mario, so we were so attached to that Mario universe. But it's like these bad guys came along, they kicked Bowser out of his castle, they fucked up the Mushroom Kingdom and everything. All of Bowser's troops have deserted him, and they've basically ruined this Nintendo universe that we all love. And it really made me want to be like, no, yeah, let's get these, like, fuck you. We play these games. Like, you get the fuck out of here. And I feel like that's another disconnect with Mallow, because GENO is from the universe with Smithy, or he guards the stars that Smithy destroyed or whatever. So it explains why GENO's there, because he's got a beef with Smithy too. Stupid Mallow's just like, I gotta find my parents. And it's like, get the fuck out of here. Like, you don't bring anything to the team.
He's just annoying. Like, but you need that character. You need the character everybody's going to hate.
I guess so. He's Prince Edward or whatever. Yeah, Prince Edward from Final Fantasy 2 is Mallow.
Yeah.
But I love Smithy. And some of the boss fights, dude, like the evil wedding cake is fucking awesome.
That one's optional, right?
I think
that was an optional.
Yeah,
boss
there's
fight.
like a mini game around it, and you might be able to get out of fighting him. But I love fighting that stupid cake. Like, I love fighting him. I love fighting that fucking weird psycho in the mysterious woods that keeps shooting the arrows up in the sky and disabling your attacks.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name now, but I fucking love that guy. Frankly, the hardest boss in the game for me is the guy you fight right after the pirate ship. When you come back to land, you fight this like spear guy.
Oh, thanks. I'm not even there yet. Now I know I'm looking forward to the hardest thing.
Yeah, I think he's the hardest fight in the game. Look, quite frankly. But you fight like a giant blooper in the pirate ship, and that's an awesome fight. And I know I'm just rambling, but it's like, considering they're all just a bunch of made up characters that we never see again, I fucking love some of the fights in this game. I love them so much.
The cake's name is Bunt
the cake. Oh, dude. Yeah. And there's that fucking, so I think if you're in the pirate ship, you will have already done Booster's Tower, right?
Yeah.
That fucking weird looking, creepy, hairy guy that lives in the tower, and like that's where Princess is, and you got to save her. I love that tower, the creepy ass music in that tower, and I love Booster. I just think he's I wish it was Wario, but.
Well, and that's who I thought initially. I was like, oh, this kind of looks like Wario. Weird that they didn't put him in the game, but whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it would have made sense if Wario had been that guy instead, but whatever. He's still a funny character. And then I love when you're chasing him up the mountain and he's got Princess Peach on his back and you're trying to catch him and he keeps like sending barrels at you or beetles or something, and you're dodging the barrels while you're trying to catch him with Princess Peach.
Yeah. Well, and then even the curtain mini game, like all the mini games.
Oh,
but the curtain mini game with him is so awesome.
Where you're hiding behind the curtains and he's trying to find you with his or he's got his associates trying to find you.
Oh, just the level of excitement, right?
Yeah, fuck. It was so intense. I remember doing that as a kid and just being like, oh no, fuck, because I kept thinking he was going to find me.
Well, and there's even an evil Yoshi. There's Croco, right? Like,
Oh, yeah.
having an evil Yoshi, you don't, like that's something you don't see in the Mario games ever. You don't ever see, like the Yoshis are pretty subservient to Mario. But.
Yeah. Because you go to Yoshi's Island or whatever and there's like the races.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so many mini games in this. There's that one where you go race Yoshis. There's that fucking hiding behind the curtains. There's the running up the hill dodging beetles. There's a casino where you can gamble with frog coins and stuff if you can find it near the end of the game. There's
cool.
There's the waterfall right after you get Mallow where you're collecting coins and falling down that weird waterfall.
Yeah.
There's a lot, like, that's the shit that sets this aside and makes it feel like a Mario game. Or stuff like how you can, when you get a star in the overworld and you can run around and just kill all the bad guys, and then every bad guy you kill, you get the XP like you fought them.
Oh, neat.
That's fucking so sick. Like, I don't know if you came across that at all, but like, I fucking love that thing. And I love that you get those little, when you're fighting bad guys and then sometimes they throw the flowers up in the sky and you get like double XP or double attack or once again and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's where you get the max HP, stuff like that as well, right?
I love that stuff. I especially like the one where Lucky, because then at the end of the fight, you can gamble and get double XP or double coins or lose it all. You always play. Like, it's so much, it breaks up the monotony of RPGs. Like, it just...
No, exactly. Like I said, it's one of those RPGs that it has the hook to keep a guy like me, especially now in this day and age, totally enamored with it. Like, I almost would rather watch someone else play an RPG at this point so that I could sit and, fart around on the computer or something while they're playing. But this is one that I've been playing like the last couple of days nonstop.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm the same way, dude. Like, I've probably fired this up and beaten it, like I say, at least a dozen times. And every time I sit down to play it, it just takes over my life. Because the graphics blow me away. I think the music is great. The combat's charming. Running around in the overworld is so much fun. The story's great. There's literally, outside of that pirate ship, I have no complaints about this game. No complaints about it. I so badly want a fucking real sequel to this game. More than any game. I almost stopped myself, but I'm going to say it. There's not a video game in existence that I want a true sequel to more than this one. Not any of them.
You heard it here on Remember the Game. Mario RPG, the sequel, better come out.
Yeah, lock it in. It's coming. God, that'd be so awesome.
2020's kicked us in the dick enough. We need Mario RPG.
That would make it all worthwhile. If you told me I had to suffer through 2020, but I'd get the sequel to Mario RPG, I'd have to think long and hard about it. I wouldn't just be like, no, fuck that. I'd be like, well, I mean, I don't really need to work anymore. My career's ruined, but I got a Mario RPG 2. Fuck, I don't know. It's easily the game that I want to see the most ported to Switch as far as games that aren't on the Switch SNES Online yet. And I'm sure it's coming at some point. It will.
Well, and they could reskin it and it would look way more polished if that's a big complaint with people. I thought it looked good, but
I'm blown away by that.
It'd be easy to up the DPI or the pixels per square inch and make it look good.
Yeah. I just, I'll never get tired of just looking at it. Like, I just think just the cover, like I'm looking at the cover right now and just seeing Mario, Princess, and Bowser standing there looking as bright and colorful, and they look like they pop. Like they look like you took the Super Mario World versions of them and just blew them full of air and made them like inflated instead of being deflated 2D creatures. And
exactly.
And they look so great. Like, the only criticism I got other than the pirate ship is like, I guess it would have been cool if Luigi, like, I don't know why Luigi wasn't Mallow. But whatever. I don't know why they did that.
Oh, that would have been way better, actually.
Yeah, I don't know why.
You get the brother, he's the healer right off the hop. Like, that would have been way better.
Yeah, and they could still make him, like, shitty. Like, Mallow was such a wimp, they could still make Luigi into the wimp. And just, you know what I mean? Like, but then give him, like, certain powers where it's like, holy shit, like, where the fuck did that come from? And then I'm letting him go back to being cowardly wiener Luigi, but we're just nitpicking now. We're just nitpicking. Dude, we've been talking for 55 minutes and I could go for another hour on this game. Is there anything we missed? Any big points before we score this thing and kind of wrap it up?
I, for the longest time, thought Exor was Smithy. That's the only thing that I could say that I didn't like about the story in this game is they don't make it clear who the bad guy is. Like, you never have an encounter with them till near the end, right?
Right.
So I would have liked, Bowser shows up and you see him periodically through every, step of the way. But it would have been nice to like have some kind of confrontation with Smithy at some point to show him as the bad guy so that you have somebody to look forward to. Instead, I thought it was the fucking sword.
Yeah. I did too. Actually, you're right. I did too. I thought it turns out the sword, like, you never really, do you ever fight the sword? I don't think you do. He just kind of sits there.
I haven't made it there yet, and I intend to, but he is on the boss list.
Right. Oh, okay. Then I don't remember if you fight him or not. But yeah, I agree. Like, he seems like the number one villain, and then it turns out there's like an old fat guy who's like the bad guy. But
yeah.
Oh yeah, quick. One last thing I wanted to bring up is there's an Easter egg in this game. You're talking about the mini games. There's also stuff like how many times in a row can you jump on a bad guy's head, and there's like a dojo you fight near the end of the game. You find this dojo. And there's like a hidden boss there. And I don't remember what all you have to do to go through to get it, but I have done it. I have beaten him. And then you end up fighting a boss from Final Fantasy.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. And I don't want to spoil anything else if you've never gotten there, but you can fight an actual boss from Final Fantasy. And it is by far the hardest fight in the game. And it looks like you took Mario, Princess, and whoever and put them into like a Final Fantasy game. But it's awesome. It's so like, there's just so much meat on the bone with this fucking game. I fucking love it so much. All right, well, let's score this thing. I'm just trying to come up with a way to score it. I don't want to score it out of 5 because there's 5 characters.
Out of 7 for the 7 stars.
No, because I want to give it more than a 6, but I can't give it a 7. So that's the problem I'm running into here. Okay, it came out in 1996. So out of 1996, what would you score Super Mario RPG?
1993.
Oh, that's like a 9.9999 out of 10.
Yeah, that's a good mark. I'm just taking a mark off for the stupid sword and the pirate ship.
Yeah. No, yeah, you're right. Yeah, I'd probably go in around like that 1990 to 19. I was tempted to go 1995. That's probably what I would give it. Actually, yeah, I'll give it 1995 out of 1996. It's not Mario World, and the Mallow sucks, but it's okay because you don't have to use them very much. And the pirate ship is a little lame, but it just You're right, dude. Like, someone wrote into the show, and God, I'm sorry, I can't remember who. I want to say it was Doug. Someone wrote into the show a few weeks ago and said, what should be my first RPG? And I suggested either Pokemon Red and Blue or Final Fantasy IX. And while I still stand behind those suggestions, Mario RPG is another excellent suggestion. It's kind of different from other RPGs, but like, to me, this game should be a must. Like, everyone should play Mario RPG.
Yeah, absolutely.
I sure hope we did it justice this time. This is just like when we did the first one of these revisits, we talked Super Mario World, and we went for over an hour, and I was like, we could keep going, but we got to stop this thing. And that's how I feel about this. We've been talking for 57 minutes, and I'm like, I could just go for another hour easily. This game is so good, and I love this game. Tyler, you really got to beat the pirate ship.
Oh, I will be. This is a do or die situation.
Yeah, you got to finish it, and then we want a post of the end credits on social media so that we can all celebrate that you finally beat Super Mario RPG, because it's so good.
All right,
buddy. Thanks so much for doing this, Tyler. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy Tuesday afternoon to talk video games with me.
Oh, anytime.
We'll do it again soon, buddy. Thanks a lot.
Okay.
That's going to do it for this week's episode. Tyler, thank you so much for giving me a call and talking Super Mario RPG. And to every single one of you, thank you so much for listening to the show. I hope you're enjoying not only the podcast and the new direction we're taking it in, but these revisited episodes as well, because I'm fucking loving them. God, I love some of these games that we talked about back in the day before we knew what we were doing. I'm feeling, I want to play Mario RPG now. Like, I'm feeling, I have that effect on myself where I want to go play it now. Thanks for listening, you guys. If you're enjoying what we're doing, please consider supporting us on Patreon. Even if you still got a giant back catalog of episodes to listen to, it's only $2 a month. It really helps me out more than you could possibly imagine. You'll get extra podcasts, a shout out. You can DM with me. You can write in for stuff to be read on the show. Whole bunch more. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Find all of our information there. And check me out on Twitch. I stream Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday nights, normally from 8 to 11 Mountain Time. In the evening. However, my comedy schedule is causing us to switch it up this week. So Thursday night, which will be September 17th, I'll be streaming from 1 to 4 p.m. Mountain Time. And then on Sunday, I don't know what date that is, but I'll be streaming from 10 p.m. to midnight Mountain Time. We're at Member the Game on Twitch. Not Remember, just Member the Game. Hit me with a follow over there. It's completely free. Then you'll know whenever I'm online. You can come by and chat with me, and we can talk and play video games, and it's lots of fun. That's going to do it for this week's episode, you guys. I will be back on Friday with, So Friday will be I have so many podcasts now, I can't remember them. I'll be back on Friday with early access to Game Patch 5.0, where we will hopefully be talking PlayStation 5 pricing. I'll be back on Sunday with Expansion Pass number 26, where we will be confessing our gaming dark secrets. And on Monday, it'll also be Game Patch 5.0 if you're listening to us on the free feeds. And then I'll be back next week with episode 116 to Remember the Game. Just podcast, eat, sleep, repeat. That's my life these days. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you guys again soon. Take it easy. Cheers. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I simply could not be producing the content I'm producing right now without all of their support, and I would like to take a moment to thank all of them for helping us out and supporting the show. I fucking got through that. I always screw that up, but I fucking did it this week. I almost fucked it up, but I didn't. Anyway, so a humongous thank you to everyone that's supporting us at patreon.com/rememberthegame for $2 a month, and that includes Aaron Cuphall, Aaron Lawson, Adam Anderson, Adam Oshirello, Alan C., Alex Martinez, Andre, Andrew Halupchuk, Andrew Wright, Andy Baker, Another Stupid Monkey, April Zane, April Cronenbitter, Batter Barhumi, Bearded XP, Ben Buyu, Ben Busha, Ben Drinkin, Bradley McHugh, Brandon O'Brien, Brian McKay, Brian Medeiros, Brian Ransom, Bullfrog, Charlie M, Chris Campbell, Chris Fleury, Chris Wilson, Chuck Schlarp, Corey, Craig Kilcup, Craig Rutt, Crash Bandicooted, Chris Knife 007, Curtis White, Dan T, Danny Vega, Dario Omen, Dave L, Dave McGee, Dave Thompson, Desert Tortoise, Doohow, Doug Dorn, Doxer, Dustin L, Dylan, Eric Cannard, Evan Refuse, Fraser Burns, Gary C, Jin and Chris, Henri, SJA Flash, James Clark, Jason Adams, Jason Cortez, Jeff Johnson from Game on GNT, Jeffrey Mathis, Joe Buck, Joe Gillespie, Joe Mack, Jordan, Josh Morgan, Josh from the Press Start to Join podcast, Kate Roberts, Casey Rarick, Keegan Wilson, Kevin Chincholo, Kevin Donlin, Kevin Hufford, Cryptovox, Kyle Paul, Lane Orr, Leon Knapskog, Les Winan, Luca, Mackenzie Wheeler, Mark Jones, Mark McHugh, Mark 209, Matt Brown, Matt McLean, Michael Mathis, Mikhail Haig, Miklos Blackshaw, Miles from BingBackRetro.com, Mr. Nick, Nathan Tremblay, Nathan W, Nick Sills, No Juan Cares, OG Big Titus, Rex, Robert Fuchsia, Robert L, Rome 21, Ryan White, Scott Brooks, Scott V, Sean Razine, Sharonic, Slick Rick, Stupid Monkey, The Bevins Girls, The T-Word, Todd O, Todd, pardon me, Tom, Tony, Travis, Tyler, Vladstein, Whiteboro, Wyman Brooks, Yamcha, Morgan, David Ray, Geek Life Radio, and Ryan Yeager. That is fucking really hard. I don't know if anyone makes it to the end of this every week, but if you do, I record that live every week, and that is a hard thing to do. Thank you all so much for the support. Thank you for your $2. I really appreciate it. I hope you feel like you're getting your money's worth, and I will talk to you guys again on Friday and Sunday and every fucking day I'm out podcasting. Thanks, guys. I'll talk to you again soon. Take it easy.